I think was it yesterday or the day before, and these ladies were talking about the fact that, especially as ladies, hi Collier, that especially as ladies, we find more things wrong with our bodies than things that we like about our bodies. So what they in that the video I was watching, so what they did was they thought, let's flip the narrative and let's talk about what we like more about ourselves. So I'm asking you now, it could be just one thing or two things. I mean, in that video that I watched, they actually said three things that you like about yourself. So, ladies and gentlemen, if a gentleman will be bold enough, just type in one thing or two or three things that you like about yourself. So I'll start off first, since I'm the one asking the question. Not one thing. One of the things I like about myself, I love my lips. So, what do you guys like about yourself? What do you like about yourself? Just tell me. My talent, fantastic. That's good. That's good. Tammy, your talent in braiding, that's good. Sugary Bell, welcome. So what do you like about yourself? Just tell me one thing that you like about yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you like? My smile, good. Love to see your smile, Sugary Bell. Okay, your legs and your hips, fantastic. I used to like my legs for a long time, but now I think they're okay. But yeah, your legs and your lips, okay. What else? What else do you like? Let me see, what else do I like about myself? Your teeth, oh, that's great. Okay, that's great. Your lips, the color of your skin and your legs, fantastic, okay. For those who enjoyed, your eyes, Joy, fantastic. Yeah, you have lovely eyes actually. Fantastic. Okay, for those who are joining us, who are just joining us, we're talking about the things about ourselves that we like. So I said I love my lips. Joy likes her eyes. Daily loves her legs and her lips. Tammy loves her natural hair. Someone loves her, I think it's Sugar Babe that loves her smile. Your face, okay. That's great, fantastic. Oh, I'm glad that at least there are things that we can say that we like about ourselves. Oh, yeah, I think I love my nose too. I love my nose. Yes. But I've said my smile, but I think my smile is a bit too wide. But yeah, I love my lips and my nose. Yes, you love your legs, Shade. Oh yes, Shade, you have nose. Can you? Yes, you can say your whole body, Yinka. That's fine. You can love your whole body. That's absolutely great. To hear somebody say, I love my whole body as it is. Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. Great. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you love your whole body, that's fine. Tiniki, my legs, my hair. Okay, your hair. Okay, fantastic. Great. Oh, that's great. Oh, glad we all love at least something about ourselves. Is there a way that I just okay? I know your whole body. What do you like your? Do you like your tummy? Do you like your arms? What else do you like? Tikosh, your what? My stature. Okay, that's good. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining us, Timmy. Thank you. So just keep putting. Just let us know what are the things you like about yourself. It could be your smile. Really? So a lot of people leave it blank what they like about themselves. Oh wow. Yeah, I know a lot of us we tend to find more things about ourselves that we don't like than the things that we like. Oh, I love that my lovely almond shaped eyes. Oh, that's nice, Deshola. That's really good. Your collarbone when they pop out. Okay. That's fantastic. Oh, fantastic. Please just keep telling. Let's find out what you love about yourself. I want to know what you love about yourself. And so let's flip that narrative about finding out more things than the things. Your nose, my beautiful face. Yes, fantastic. Oh, great. You know, Dayton, I thought you'd have said your hair too, your afro. Hi.
Hello,
How are
I'm
you?
Sophia. Very well, thank you.
You're good. Did you hear what we're talking about?
Yes, I did. Yes, I
Okay.
did.
So what do you love about yourself?
I love my feet, my leg. I
Okay.
love my face. I love quite a bit about myself. Yeah, I'm very yeah, I've always loved that about myself. So yeah,
Wonderful, wonderful. That is nice. So welcome to Hangout Cafe.
thank you.
This is your first time joining us. Is this your first Insta Live?
Yes.
Yay! That is great. So this in this space, we're going to show you so much love. So Hangout Cafe folks, can you show her love, some loves, give her some hugs, because this is her first time, not only on Hangout Cafe, but also her first time doing an Insta Live. So show her some love. Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
yes. No, don't worry, you'll be fine. And a lovely bunch. Our, our, um, our followers are they're quite engaging. They're going to ask you lots of questions. All the
Oh,
love,
brilliant.
all the hugs. So yeah, just relax and know that you're in a safe space. You're in a great space. And yeah, they love you. Oh my God, see all the love. They love you.
Thank
They love you,
you.
right? So our guest today is Gbeminiyi Olu-Kuti, Olu-Kuti. And I've known her for years, 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 years. Gbeminiyi is actually more like family. That's the truth. Um, so today we're going to be talking about our cultural identity in today's world. And I think it's a topic that's so important. It's something that we need to talk about. And there's no better person to talk about it to help us in talking more about our cultural identity than a lady who is passionate about it. I mean, speaking to her, you can just tell that she's passionate about it. So, Gbeminiyi, welcome again.
Thank you.
And so, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm a mom of three amazing children. So seven
Okay,
and a half, 4.5, and almost 3.
good.
Been married for almost 10 years now. Oh, wow. Um, I work as a business analyst,
Okay,
and I enjoy. I'm one of those that I enjoy what I do. I'm very passionate about that as well. Um, but I took some time out to start this business that we're going to talk about some at some point today, because I just saw that there was a gap and there was something that um, needed to be done about it, and why not myself?
okay.
So and I'm very entrepreneurial as well, so that's why I thought, okay, I could embark on this undertake. um so yeah, I've been a Christian most of my life. So was in Jesus house for over 15 years actually, and then started a family and moved out of London. And so yeah, I think that's about me really.
Okay, thank you. That's nice. Thank you. Mother of three. Wow, I can't believe it. Mother of three. Gbeminiyi. Wow.
I'm shocked myself. The third one was a bit of a shocker,
Okay.
I have to say. But yeah, amazing. I'm so glad, and I'm so blessed to have them in my life.
Oh, thank God. That's great. How old are they? Did you say how old they were? I can't remember now if you did.
Yeah, so 7.5, 4.5, and 3 next month.
Okay, so that's okay. The second and third are close because the third one you said was a shocker.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Great. So, as I said, we're talking about our cultural identity in today's world. First of all, Whitney, how would you define culture and then specifically cultural identity?
So
What is
culture
it really for those who
so
don't know?
culture is a way of life, right? It is a way of life that bound people together. So we're talking about the celebrations, the traditions. We're talking about the music, the food,
Right.
our mannerism,
Okay.
how we engage, our way of thoughts, our art, our fashion. What makes us us? Why do we think in a certain way? Why do we behave in a certain way?
Okay.
Those are what culture, that's what culture is. And when we have a group of people who is heavily influenced by these certain things, then we have a culture. Not only that, it's also something that is passed on. We from our ancestors, from generation to generation. And so when we have a group of people who strongly believe in this and are being raised with these values, then that way of life is what we call culture.
Okay. So what is cultural identity then?
So I think that the only difference is identifying with those things that I've mentioned.
Okay.
Right. So when you identify with that, when you are in agreement with that, when you, not with everything, but you understand, you accept it, that is the identity there.
Right. Okay. So what is the impact of culture in our lives, especially I really don't want to say this, but the truth is that a lot of us in diaspora, what is the impact of identifying with our culture in this space that we are in now?
I think it is. I think it's very, very important, right? So in the analogy is, there are quite a number of people who are very successful, but don't know who they are. They are not rooted to anything in specific. They are not, who are you behind that whole facade? What makes you you? What makes you tick? What have you gotten from what your parents have done? What sort of food do you like? There's two things here. There's one that says, I know that efo legacy, and not saying that that's my food, but efo legacy and pounded yam is what I was raised with, and I have decided not to eat it. You know what I mean? But it is so important, particularly now in the diaspora, because it's what grounds you, it's what roots you, it's what gives you that confidence to stand head tall because you know who you are.
Okay. Yeah, go on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because and then you see, you look at things like the gang and all of that. Is because there's no identity. People are struggling with who they are. Do I fit in this category? Do I sit in that category? Where do I sit? And that's because you don't have that value. You don't have that tradition. You don't identify with one of those. And then with this amazing world and fusion of different cultures, where do you begin to start? Do you just sit down one day and say, you know what, I'm going to start identifying with French? But where is that tie? And that's why we definitely, what you will find nowadays is that loads of African Americans go back to Africa to try.
Yeah, I was just going
to try and find out where they are, because their history, in some way or the other, doesn't start with slavery. It's deeper than that. So everybody's trying to find out, where have I come from? And trying to associate and belong. That sense of belonging is very powerful, especially in the diaspora.
It's so true what you said about, especially African Americans. I understand TD Jakes, Bishop TD Jakes, found out that he's actually from Nigeria, but from Igbo. Igbo side. And then when you were talking about the food and knowing, being brought up with a certain dish, I remembered. I'm sure most people have watched this thing. I think it's called Blue Therapy.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I can't remember. I've only watched clips. I've never watched the full episode. And the guy talking about his girlfriend. I think she's called Chioma. I think.
Yeah.
Wanted to have Africa or Nigerian food. But anyway, so tell us more about this cultural identity thing, because I'm sure a lot of us we will say especially the older ones, can identify with a lot of our culture, but unfortunately we're not passing it down to our children for a lot of us. So please tell us more about it.
I think for most of us that grew up in Africa, and I don't like to say Africa because it feels as if Africa is a country, but most of us that grew up across Africa, because there are 54 countries there, we are so secure in our appearance, in what we look like. Of course, there's always there little bits of insecurity, and that is across the board, regardless of color or race. But we're so secure in what we look like. We're so secure in the names, in the food. We're very much secure in that. And so it's difficult for us to empathize with our children, right? Because they are growing up as a minority. And some of the things that they're facing, some of the things that they're thinking, we don't understand. We don't even, it's that is just their life. And I think it's very important that we pay particular attention to that. You know, what do you think about this? And when they're talking about, I want long hair, and rather than just dismiss them, you know, just really use that opportunity to explain why black don't crack, why your hair is amazing, and how you can style it in different ways, you know, and really use that opportunity to give them the confidence that they need in their appearance and also in their culture. One of the things that my son will come back from school and will say that, oh, his Polish friends, they talk about their Polish schools and their Russian schools and all that kind of thing. And I'm like, fantastic. So you should also use that opportunity, because he goes to Africat. So you should also use that opportunity to talk about your Yoruba school that you go to. I remember his 5th birthday, we had an African party and we had everybody come in. He was so nervous because he just thought that his friends will make fun of him.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know where that came from. So somehow, in me throwing that party for him, or in, you know, the family throwing that party for him, that thing that I would never have thought was there, he voiced it out. Oh, all my friends will make fun of me because of the part. And I was like, no, you know, let's see how it goes. Mommy and daddy are here to support you. They went there. We got all his friends to wear Ankara. Everything was all very much African or Nigerian in that perspective. And they all enjoyed it. This is like 4 years later, people are still talking about it. You know, so that really gave him a boost of confidence. Oh, actually, people will accept me. You know, so I don't really need to hide that part of me. You know, so really exposing them to their culture is important. You know, there are some times where
talking about this, sorry to interrupt you, Gbeminiyi, what are the practical steps? What are the things parents can do, especially? I know that one of the things I didn't do when my kids were growing up was that we didn't speak Yoruba at home. Even when I grew up, the truth is that we didn't really speak it at home. But I got it from my grandma, I got it from the house helps, and that's how I'm able to speak Yoruba. But it wasn't as if my parents were always speaking Yoruba. So, but it's worse now. I mean, we don't even speak it at home. Even though when my husband and I want to say something, I don't want them to hear when they were growing up, we will speak Yoruba. But fortunately, when my daughter went to school, and the students that came from Nigeria started speaking about, she picked it up from them.
Yeah.
But my son is not, he doesn't really understand it. So what are the things that we can do from, and how young is it that we can start teaching them or speaking this language? Because like, you remember when we were talking, you said the Indians, they speak their language. In fact, their children learn their language first before English, right?
Yes. Yeah. And you know, I have to give it to them in the sense that they have embraced their culture so well that it's almost as if, so if, you know, like we were talking the other time, if you go to an office, they don't even care if you're at the process, or they bring out their food, it might be stinking of the whole office and people might be mumbling, that's your own problem, and they're eating. You know, sometimes, you know, we outsiders will frown at them and say, what is it? It's too much. How far? But, you know, you just have to give it to them, because somehow they're doing so well in the diaspora. They're doing so well in their country, and they're just climbing up the ladder. So what is it about embracing their culture? Like even from youth, some of these kids from youth, before they speak English, most of them will understand their own dialect and maybe one or two other languages.
Yeah.
They're so proud of what they wear, what they look like. Like they are very they've embraced it so much
Right.
that even outsiders are like, okay, what is it? You know what I mean? In schools, they celebrate Diwali. I don't know what African celebration that any of the schools do, like nationally. And they're persistent about it. They're consistent about it as well.
Yeah.
In terms of practical ways, I think the first thing is to understand the value of it.
Yes.
When you understand the value of it, you become intentional,
Okay.
right? So I think understanding the value of it, what is the value of understanding your culture? It gives comfort. Facts. Stat says
Yeah.
that children that understand and know their culture are more confident and they perform better in school. That is a fact,
Okay.
right? Because they have that sense of belonging. They don't feel like an outsider,
Okay.
right? They have that sense of belonging. They are confident, head tall. And then they appreciate other cultures as well,
Right. Okay.
right? So they're able to, oh, so this is what we do for celebration. What do you do for celebration? They're able to understand that and grasp that. And then also understanding another language also helps the child.
Okay.
It's fact that when you understand one or two more languages,
Yeah.
you're able to become more confident, and it also helps your brain improve and take in a lot more. So practical step, first and foremost, value it, be intentional about it. That's number one. Number two, start with the food. Somehow, put there's a Wednesday night is African or Yoruba or Igbo food. They might not like it, but then you treat them with an ice cream. If you finish your food, you eat the ice cream. And this is me talking for younger kids. If you finish your food, you eat your ice cream. That would give them a bit. By the time they start eating it frequently, then they begin to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Things like, and I think one of the things that parents struggle with is how do they start, particularly if they're so used to speaking in English.
Yes.
How do they start? And you can just start by doing, there are loads of information out there. So in terms of YouTube, there's Bino, there's Fino, there's a lot of cartoons out there that can engage younger children. I'll talk about older children in a bit, but there's a lot that can engage younger children. You start saying no, yes, please, thank you, and just start introducing it little by little. You might want to maybe take the morning routine and start introducing it a bit. If for whatever reason parents don't understand the language and they're struggling, then that's why there's opportunities for you to learn the language, and there are also opportunities for you to send your child to schools and that kind of thing. Another thing also is to get them talking with grandparents.
Yes. That's how I learned that. Yes.
Get them talking with grandparents, particularly on the phone. I know you say, hello, good afternoon. Okay, bye, ma. No, get them talking with grandparents. Also sharing particularly if you grew back home, sharing your childhood with them, because they're very fascinated by that.
Yes.
Doing that would definitely help. Thank God for Afrobeat. The Afrobeat has gone, so there's a lot of African music.
Yeah.
There's a lot of African dance, so they think it's cool. Yeah. Thank God for women and their Afro hair. There's a lot of that on fleet. Thank God for fashion, so they begin to see fashion in vogue. So it's just doing a lot more of that.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, I just looking at some of the comments. Dairy Malt, obviously, she said they started a Wazobia group when, her kids are much older now. We started a club called Wazobia Club, where a few parents got together in South London. Okay, that's good.
Okay, fantastic.
That's really good.
And then for the older ones, actually, because we do run a class for teens, and I did ask them, why are you here? Are you here because mommy, And one of them sort of said that I just need to know. I think she said it out of frustration that I just need to know my culture because I don't feel as if I fit in.
Wow.
You know, I just need to know. I need to know where I'm from. I need to know some language. And it's not, so culture is not just about the language, right? It's about also understanding the origin of it and the practice. And like I said, the tradition. I just need to know.
And I think it must be a struggle for children that don't have that cultural identity, because you don't fit in here. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
racism. We know that. So you
Yeah.
don't fit in. The whites don't accept you, um, and then you're not black. You're not Africans because
Enough.
you know. So yeah, where am I? Where do I fit in?
Where am I?
So
And there is a lot of that. And I think particularly as teenagers, as they begin to go through adulthood or adult transitioning,
yeah,
um, there is a lot of questions that they begin to ask themselves, you know, and they begin to question a lot of things.
yeah,
And I think that's something that we need to start doing as adults. So take, for example, I was telling you the other day that somehow in a village, not in Lagos, Lagos, by the way, is the capital of Nigeria, but not in a village somewhere,
yeah.
some people are singing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. How? You know what I mean? How? And we have accepted that as, oh, yeah, the more English you speak, the more intelligent you are. How about the more Yoruba I speak, the more intelligent I am? You know, all these languages are just a means of communication.
Yes, yeah,
And so by the time we begin to value how we speak, what you say,
yeah,
in whatever language that you say,
yeah,
right, proves how intelligent you are, not necessarily in English. So you have some very intelligent people who don't speak an ounce of English, but speak Swahili fluently and are able to do so well. So why the emphasis and the prestige on English or on Western world
yeah,
or on the Western product?
yeah, yeah. I agree.
So there is a lot of re-education in that we need to do for ourselves as well. And you know, particularly in this time and age, and we have to thank God for where society is. You know what I mean? So take, for example, even in terms of organizations, they're beginning to measure themselves in terms of diversity.
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
Because they know that with more diversity, there's more belonging, there's more diverse perspective, and the people that they're serving is no longer a particular race, it's actually globally. So they're beginning to harness those different diversities and those different cultures to see how they can serve their different global audience. Now, can you imagine as I don't know, as an Igbo person or as a Nigerian person, you've then done all the work, you've gone to the Cambridge of this world, you've done all the work, and then you're sitting at that table without an ounce of any understanding of your culture. Meanwhile, that is why they have put you in that table.
Wow.
And I know particularly for African parents, because I'm one of them, we have huge aspirations for our kids, right?
Yeah.
So we're putting them in maths extra class, we're putting them in English, instruments, and other foreign languages. And we're really trying to build that mental picture of what their CV is and success and all of that. But somehow we are neglecting the first thing that grounds them, right, that makes them confident, that makes them stand out as an individual, right? And then when they then get to the pinnacle of wherever they're going to, the additional thing that makes them stand out in terms of their culture and, you know, how far and all that mannerism, they don't have.
They don't have it, yeah.
So I think that there is that bit of balance, you know, there is that bit of balance. And as parents, this is something that we definitely need to be very conscious of. And that's why I have to give it to some of the young adults now. Most of them are actually taking classes. I want to know who I am. They're questioning the status quo and why is that good and I'm not good. You know, they're really doing that. So I have to give it to them.
I think it was Tinuke that said she sent her boy home at 13 for half term, and it changed his life when he came back with a confidence that shocked her. She said, even though he was confident anyway. And you know, it's true, there's just something and I must say this, when I get to Nigeria, I just feel I'm home.
Yes.
You know, there's just this I'm home where I belong, and it's not the
Yeah.
same thing as
It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. And it's also interesting when when someone comes who's not like Yoruba and says, or who's not Nigerian and says, "Hey, what's up?" You automatically just gravitate towards that person, right? Because what just that little bit, what that tells me is you're open enough
yeah.
to wanting to understand my culture.
Mm.
Right. And so there is a lot of us doing that to the Europeans, and but how about they do the same to us?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, how about they do the same to us? And like I said, the world is now giving us that platform
Yeah.
that we should definitely leverage on.
Absolutely.
You know, people in meetings are stopping to say, "Have I pronounced your name right?" You know, and I'm taking the opportunity to teach them how to pronounce it. Sometimes I give them the full Olu-Gbeminiyi.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Huh? Do you want to try that with me?" So, you know, sometimes I do that.
Yeah.
But in terms of the knee, you know, get it right. And I thank God for some of our peers as well who are, and again, this is subjective, but who are now changing their names back to, because I have friends who would call themselves John and da da da, but they're changing their names back to their their cultural names to sort of say, well, you know, this is it.
Yeah.
And people then have conversations, what does it mean? And then, you know, you start having conversations about it. So it is very important. It is not a I like to have. I think it is a necessity.
Yes, I agree.
Particularly in the diaspora, it is a necessity.
Yeah, I agree.
Because whether we like it or not, we stand out.
Yes.
Whether we
Yeah.
like it or not,
Yeah.
we stand out. And what an amazing platform to sort of say, well, you know, this is who we are. You know, this is, and there's so much there's so much amazing things in terms of how we raise our kids, right? Compared to how the Western world raise their kids. I think we shouldn't be too quick to put everything that even in terms of the oil now, everybody is going back to organic.
Yes.
You know, these are some of the things that our grandmother used to palm oil, or what's the other one? The coconut. Everybody, you know, everybody's going back there.
Yeah.
And we need to try and so some of the things that we sort of discarded, we're coming back to it.
Absolutely. Yes.
We're coming back to it. And I think the next thing really would be the business of it, right? Because some of these things that were all the coconut oil and stuff, what you will begin to realize is that it's actually being operated by the Western market, right? So the business of it, you know, and that would be the next stage, as in how are we giving back? How are we, so it doesn't feel like another exploitation of what we have.
Yeah. Do you know what?
There's an Ankara dress in Harrods for £1,000.
Yes, I was going to talk about this Stella McCarthy dress for £1,000. That caused a lot of controversy. I remember. But you know what I said then? I said, you can't blame her. We too should have done something to get ourselves in there, even though, of course, we know it's a bit difficult, but well, fortunately, since then, we've moved on, because I think after then was when we had African Week, or so Joy would know this, when we had something in Selfridges for about a week, where all the African, I don't know if it was all African or Nigerian designers displayed their wares there for a week or so.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought of when you were talking was, you know, when an African speaks, people say, even we say it, she has an accent, or he has an accent. But when the French speak or the Italians speak, we're like, oh, that is so nice. They have this lovely Italian. Hello, how are you? You know, or French. But we need to stop all that nonsense. Yes.
No, I completely, again, it's a re-education. And I'm not trying to, there's been a lot that we have gone through from a cultural perspective, right? In terms of the colonization, in terms of how we were raised and how we were made to look at our culture, or what we consider good. And so there's been a lot of that, and that's why I've said there's a lot of relearning that we need to do. You know, so take for example the French. You go to France, and you say, "Oh, hello, hi, do you speak English?" They won't even look at
Oh,
you.
they are very
But
bad. They won't.
if you try and mimic their accent, here, excusez-moi, speak English, they would pay attention. And that's, we need to begin to do that for ourselves. But again, it goes back to how much do we value our culture?
That's very important. That's very
You know,
important.
how much do we value? If we take it back to Christianity, you know, for some reason, God put us in that culture for a reason, right? And he didn't put us in there for us to look down on ourselves. And you know, there is that appreciation that we need to have. And once we have that, we can then begin to say, no, this is how we're, you know, and we can begin to value it, become more intentional about it, and have conversations on how we can promote it in whatever way. We don't have to go out of our way per se, but how to promote it. In schools, we're talking about this in schools. Speak to the schools. What exactly are you doing pertaining my culture? You know, why, for whatever reason, are you saying United Kingdom, Italy, United States, and then Africa? Like, what is the first and foremost? That is wrong education, right? Because these are continents. These are countries, and you're putting a continent next to it.
Yeah.
So those are what, and begin to challenge them.
Yeah.
I remember my son came home and said, "Oh, they're sending books to Africa." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, fantastic, good job." So we packed all the books we had in the house, and we gave it to the school. And then the next day he came and said, "Mommy, why aren't there any books in Africa?" And I was like, wow, even me, I didn't see what that teaching was. And the honest truth is, they're not sending books back to Africa. They're not sending books to a country. They're only sending books to a village deep somewhere in a town that is in a, so really challenging those perspectives.
Yeah.
And then another thing is, some of them would say, can you please provide information on Africa? I'm sorry. If you do have the time, by all means, please, but don't feel obligated to do that, because there is enough information out there for you to avail yourself of and learn. You know, you're here to teach all children.
Yes.
Right? So avail yourself. When me and my son are having a huge argument on why God is white.
Wow.
You know, so those are opportunities that, you know, schools need to begin to tune into, to sort of say, how can I make this school more belonging? How can I make them feel a bit more accepted? You know, and it might not be something that is displayed. It's just something that is being thought about.
Yes.
You know, yeah. So those are definitely some of the things that we are grappling with. And when I say do whatever you can, question these things. You know, question these things, stand up tall with, you know, and take it.
We also have a long way to go, because I was just thinking now, in terms of, I read about kids who have been sent home because maybe they had their afro out, or they did their hair in a particular way and they were sent home. So even the schools, they need to understand that our texture, I mean, and they know, I mean, for Christ's sake, it's obvious. Our texture is different from their texture. Our head texture is different from theirs. So why should a child be penalized for having afro?
And that is where, as parents, as individual parents, we have to question it and sort of say, seriously. But again, I think even as parents, there is some sort of fear that we have, that I don't want to rock the boat. You know, it's a chicken and egg situation. First and foremost, at work, we're working twice as hard. Right. So there's this pressure that we have at work. There's also this pressure that we have for our kids to stand out. And then there's another African parent pressure, that they can not only just carry C, they have to be the top in their class. So we have all these pressures mounting on ourselves. And we just need to make sure that we are saying we're speaking to the schools. If that's all we can do,
Yes.
to speak to the schools and speak to them. When we had that conversation with Black and White God, it's an email. I really appreciate the work that you do, but this is what my son is coming home with. And it's not an
How was
attack,
that
because
resolved?
ah, they've sort of said, oh, okay, I appreciate that, and we will see what we can do in terms of talking to them about that God does not have a particular color. But again, I have to, I appreciate the fact that it's broadening their horizon as well. In terms of their books as well, I sort of recommended books to them in terms of the library and the books that they send home. Can it please be a bit more diverse? In terms of some of the scenarios that they present in school, we're not saying change curriculum for now, because that might be a bit long. But in terms of the scenario, instead of having a scenario where the boy is white, blue eyes, blonde, why don't you have a scenario where the boy is a Kwame that is living somewhere in Africa?
Yeah.
So just little things like that, they need to begin to tweak. And as parents, we have that voice. So we need to begin to raise it.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, well done. And also, I guess parents too should read more African books and read some of the books, especially with your younger children. Read some of these books with your younger children.
Yeah. And I think for parents as well, we just assume, because we had a survey a few years back, and about 90% of them did not know any other country in Africa. About 90% of them did not know the state that they were from, or the culture that they were from in their country. And that was very surprising to the parents, right? Because I think some of the parents just assume that they know. And so when you said practical things, maybe every Wednesday evening or Friday evening, let's talk about where are you from?
Yes.
What food do we eat in there, and how does that, and that also gives you as parents time to, if you don't know, do your quick research and speak to a few people before you take on that evening. Those are part, and however little, you don't have to go overboard. However little is a start, because particularly for kids, what you want them to do is you want them to be curious about it. Because when they're old enough, they're able to just go on the internet and do some more research and do some more, so take for example now, young girls rarely go to the salon, right? Because there's all this information on YouTube, so they know how to do their Afro hair. So that's what we want for them. So if that's all we can do, they can go online and they can do this research and they can come back and ask questions and da 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 da. That would definitely be a step in the right direction. When I said how many of them go back to Africa for holiday, it was 0%. Nobody is going back to Africa for holiday. And there's some amazing places. There are some amazing places. Of course, we know that there's some issues in some areas, but there's some amazing places, particularly in East Africa. We have Zanzibar, we have Kenya, so there are some amazing places that one can go to.
I like what Angel Cakes, I said, we are children's voice in these institutions. I wear nice Ankaras, head ties to meetings, and when sharing meetings. That's good. That's a very good step.
Definitely. But yeah, I think it's something that we have particularly, it's something that we have to begin to fight for.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I was reading some stats done by the BBC, and they said in 10 years' time nobody will be speaking Yoruba in Peckham. Can you imagine that?
Really?
And Peckham is like the Yoruba village of London. Like in 10 years' time, nobody will be speaking Yoruba there.
I actually think about that, especially when I think about my children, because I think, will they ever go to live in Nigeria? Probably not. And by the time we pass away, if I don't intentionally now help them to identify this cultural identity, then by the time we have children, the children won't even have an idea. And then not to talk of their own children. I mean, okay, maybe they will name their children, give them some Nigerian name. But then their children, my great-grandchildren, probably won't.
And I remember taking my son to Nigeria for the first time. I think he was 4 or whatever. And I was like, Mom, do they speak English? I'm like, serious? Like, so of course, in fact, they speak better English in some instances, and it's really exposing them. Some of them didn't even know the meaning of their names.
Yes, some people.
It's really exposing them. If for whatever reason you can't go back to Nigeria, we have a lot of information. In another project actually that we're looking to do with Africat is the information that is out there, particularly for kids or young adults, about Africa or the different countries in Africa is so limited. It is extremely limited, and in most times it is covered by someone in the Western world.
Yes.
So also in terms of content, and it's amazing that we all have access to put content online. So in terms of content, however little, if there's anything that we can do, however little, let's put it out there, because it is so limited in terms of information out there. Like I said, I'm quite optimistic that I'm quite optimistic that hopefully with the movement that is happening in terms of Black Lives Matter, and with this opportunity that we have, which I think we need to definitely harness, and with what's happening in the organizations in terms of measurements on diversity, this is a huge platform for us to showcase who we are. And I think there's also conversations that we need to have in-house. So take, for example, as we were talking, you want to start a business back in Nigeria, you bring a white guy in there, for some reason that elevates the level of trust, right? And so these are conversations that we need to start having. That why don't we trust each other? And then there's also another school of thought that says, Black children looking down on other Black kids because maybe they're not westernized enough, or maybe they're not cultural enough, and we're beginning to segregate that. So there is a lot of work that we need to do, and it's not so much a lot, it's however little you can do.
Just a step.
However little you can do, because we're under a lot of pressure, as I said, as Black people living in diaspora. So however little you can do is definitely a step in the right direction.
But one thing though, I can even understand those of us in diaspora that our kids maybe some don't speak Yoruba, but when the kids back home themselves don't even speak, they don't eat, they only want to eat fish and chips or whatever. I mean, what's going on? Please,
they're speaking more Funne than us that we're here.
More Funne than us. Yes. I mean, it's ridiculous. When you're speaking to them, you're thinking, does this child live abroad? But no, it's from TV and all of these things that they watch.
And it feels as if even in some instances we're a bit more cultural than back home. And at one point I thought it was just Africa, I thought it was just Nigeria, but I spoke to my Kenyan friends, because in Africats we do cultures across Africa. Kenyan friends, the same thing. Tanzanian friends, Ethiopian friends, it's the same thing. And it's definitely still that mentality of looking down on your own. There definitely has to be that re-education, that why is my accent more why is it more devalued? Then if I say shush now, everybody start laughing, right? But why is that more devalued? Why do you think I am not as intelligent as someone that says church? So there's a lot of biases that we have, that we've just grown up with, that we need to begin to rethink.
That's true. I never even thought about it like that until you just mentioned it's true. Because when someone says shush, you think, oh gosh, this person can. But that doesn't make the person any less intelligent than you.
Right. That's just how they pronounce things. And what's wrong with it? What's wrong with shush? Well, if we had swapped things over, and it's the Western one that's saying shush, and it's the other guy that's saying church, we'll be laughing at that. Church. It says shush.
Oh my God.
So there is a lot of biases and again Reeducation that we need to do. So I say it's okay, he's fine, he's good, and again I go back to the Indians, because when I was doing this, when I was starting and doing the business plan for Africat, there's so many schools, established schools by the Indians, where they teach in Hindi.
Wow.
They teach them so many established schools that are thriving, and they have outstanding Ofsted.
Wow. Wow.
And somehow, across 54 countries, over 3,000 cultures, we don't have one.
Gosh, we do have a long way to go. We do have a long way to go.
You know.
Okay, go on.
No, that's it.
I was going to say, but thank God for someone like you with Africat. Tell us a bit more about Africat Club.
So Africat Club, we've been running for about 3 years now. And what we do predominantly is, it's a culture club. So it's not just about the language, it's about the whole culture. So it's a culture club where we promote cultures across Africa. Right, and our job really is to ensure that kids are secure in their culture, and they embrace their culture, and they also share their culture, because that's very important for us. And then there's another aspiration and vision that we have, is to ensure that all children they understand Africa in itself. So it's not just about how Africa is impoverished, no. So it's really giving them insight to have a good world perspective about Africa. Definitely an environment where we begin to desensitize cultural biases. And so how do we do that? We do that by having cultural classes. So we have cultural classes that run Monday to Saturday.
Yeah.
We currently have 7 cultures that we do: Yoruba, Igbo, Swahili, Luganda, Oromo, and Tree, which is Igbo. And we continuously expand. So hopefully by the end of this year, we would expand into another 7 different cultures, which will then make it 12. We have activity books. Let me just bring this on. So we have activity books like this that would help the kids engage in the culture, and we're looking to bring out apps and also an egg tech platform where people can go in and be engaged by it. We also then have a course which we call African Studies. So regardless of where you come from in Africa or in the world, you can learn about Africa, the different countries and the different regions and the cultures, and that's the one that we're taking into schools, so they can run with the curriculum. So those are some of the wonderful things we're doing. Like I said, we're trying to partner with a company in terms of just putting out a lot of content, so people can begin to avail themselves of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So currently, right now, our key focus is 5 to 11, but we've started doing some work with Afri-teens. So those are the teenagers, and in September, we're going to launch something for them as well.
Well done. Fantastic. Oh, wow. So if you want to connect, people have been asking, how can they connect with you? I think I've given them your website, not your website, what's it called now? Instagram. So it's Africat Club. Do you have a website?
Yes, we do.
And that's what's it called? What's the
www.africatsclub.com.
Okay. So it's kids with a Z, and then
kids with a Z. Yes.
Yeah. I'll send her DM. I'm sure she'll be they'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But this is really amazing.
Thank you. Yes, and if for whatever reason you want to partner with us, because it's bigger than me, we're talking about over 3,000 cultures.
3,000 cultures.
3,000 cultures across Africa.
Wow.
It is way bigger than me. We're currently looking at the UK. At some point, we're looking to see if we can start in America as well. And then we have to go back to Africa and sort of say, well, guys, you know, how are you teaching, and what is it? A language is not optional, it is mandatory, and really beginning to work with the schools there, the councils there, the government there. So it's bigger than me. So if in whatever way you like to partner with us, please also DM me. That would be fantastic.
And I think one of the things you do, I think when I saw it on your website or somewhere, some of your teachers, they're actually from back home.
Oh yes, so that's the two reasons why we want that to give back, because we also want to boost the economic situation of some people back in Nigeria, so that's to give back, and we're trying in Nigeria and Africa. And then also that helps in terms of the authenticity of the language, because by the time you come here, you're emming and ahhing and you are funkifying the language. We actually want the kids to understand even the mannerism. I remember my grandma or people say, hey, even that mannerism in itself, we want to, give it back to them. And because it is something that they interact with on a daily basis, so definitely, yes, that's what we do. And also we do go into schools in terms of inclusion and belonging as well, so there's some schools where we actually review their policies. So in instances where they would have said grade is prohibited, we then say, well, you can't put that in, because that is our culture, and that's how we manage our hair. So that's another thing that we do as well.
Wow, amazing, fantastic, Gbeminiyi. Okay, so takeaway, just run us through quickly the things we as parents can start to do intentionally to help our children identify.
And first, have an evening or time slot where you just focus on that. Just have an evening, a time slot where, and what that also helps you do is it helps you do whatever research you need to do, and any work that you need to do to come to that time slot. And it also helps the kids to make it as fun as possible. You could also have lunches, breakfasts, dinners, whatever that case is, on a weekly basis. So consistency is also key. Watch a lot of African program, have a lot of culture on your TV as well, so they can begin to see that on in their mind. Speak to your schools, just send an email, I think on our website, DM me, I can send you templates of different emails, nice, pleasant emails that you can send to school, sort of say, what are you doing about this? And if they're asking you to do stuff, you can point them to the right direction. There are 7 universities here in the UK that have African study departments, so you can reach out to them or give them YouTube videos. And really hold your head up, get the kids to, if they're children, if they're adults, get them to speak to their grandparents and engage, not just hello, hi, but to really engage with their grandparents. Speak to them about your upbringing. And, if they're saying, no, I don't want cornflakes, I want Weetabix, there's a joke that'll be like, you guys are lucky. In my days, you eat what your mother gave. So then they begin to understand that, okay, thank you, mommy. And okay, they understand that, because that's how we pass on culture. Most of it is not through, it's through just having conversations with them, tell them stories about it. And some of them, and like I said, what we really want them to do is we want to feed that curiosity that they have, in organizations, even for the kids as well, for the young adults, begin to speak to them about the importance of, if you think it's not cool, but for your career and for where the organizations are going to, these are some of the things that they would look to you for. So begin to, develop that area.
Thank you so much. I'm talking about something now. Yes, I was going to say also maybe when you're cooking, especially cooking this African food, engage your children, get them.
Yes.
I mean, now my daughter actually cooks a better jollof rice than I do.
Oh, nice.
Jollof rice, it's better than I. So engage with them. How to
engage them.
All these different African dishes.
And then for the young adults, okay, guys, do you want to come? Well, after COVID, invite your other friends and have a, do you want to come around and cook and taste our different food? Every now and again, I invite my other friends that are white or Asian or whatever and say, come, let me cook this for you and tell me what you think. And then we talk a bit about the culture, or even in your day life, particularly over the weekend, do stuff that is cultural based, because that's what the kids will talk about. Right, and really encourage them to talk about what they've done and what they wore and how cool it is. And if they don't think it's cool, then that is an opportunity for you to tell them why it's cool. And so until you start having these conversations and dialogue, you don't know, because it's always in their subconscious. Yes. Right, it's in their subconscious somewhere. So we need to try and see how we can bring that out, to either say, okay, well done, that's fantastic, or to really encourage them and give them the confidence they need in that area.
And I just remembered, I think it was during the week, I saw Chibundu, she had on her story, and she asked the question, why are there few African art galleries in the UK? So someone might want to start or open one.
Yeah,
they probably have, but we need more where you can take our children to.
Exactly, but also, why again? Let's unpack that. It's probably because we're not patronizing each other. That's why it's closed down. Yeah. We're not patronizing each other. In terms of looking at it from grassroots, telling our children, why don't you draw something that is African, and inspire that arts and craft that is African based, and then they grow up to be, again, not every African child would want their child to be artists. There's another. That's another story. But again, we're not patronizing each other. We just assume that, it's too expensive. We will go to an Italian restaurant and eat food for £40, but when it comes to a Nigerian restaurant, we just think it's too expensive, because we know how to make it and we know how much it costs. Yeah. But we just say it's too expensive. I'm not going to do it. And so that's why some of these stores or these galleries or stuff are closed.
And really, we need to do a lot. So even little things, when we buy decorations for the home, all these African artifacts that we can buy from home, let's buy them. Let's have them at home, so that the kids can ask questions about them.
Yeah, and what that then does is it's a light bulb moment that say, actually, I can be an African interior designer, and with that aspiration, boom, in another 10, 20 years, we don't know what we can get from that. Yeah. So it's really, and also, like you said, in terms of galleries, do we actually, how much are we exposing them to the culture? Would rather go to, I don't know, Legoland, or rather than taking them to a culture and really explaining to them about this and that and why that is cool and da 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 da. So that there's stuff that we can do. And the wonderful thing is we're such a community, so we can even start within our community. Absolutely. Yeah. We can say, okay, what are we doing? Instead of let's all come together and let's cook. Right? The kids are there playing together, the moms are there, the dads are there. We can, all those interactions, those social things that we do, we can begin to be a bit more purposeful about it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Gbeminiyi. We could go on. As we were talking, I just thought, okay, even when we come together to have barbecues, it should be barbecues that are themed or something.
Yeah. Anything to just put that in, to get it there. To, we're having a barbecue. Okay, well, let's make it a cultural barbecue. Everybody rock in your traditional outfits. Yeah. So there are just different things that we can do as part of fun to promote the culture.
Okay, so folks, this is what you need to do. Be more intentional about promoting your culture. Be more intentional, especially with regards to our kids and our children. That is so important, because, if it is true that this is, was it Peckham or so that he said that in 10 years, they won't speak Yoruba at all. Not talk of in the homes, and then our children's children, they wouldn't even have a clue where they're from. Yeah. If we're not intentional now. So please, parents, let's be more intentional about passing on and passing down our culture.
And just another thing, just again, in another 10, 15 years, you won't need to speak any specific language, because if the Mandarin guys are talking if the Chinese guys are talking in Mandarin, there's just going to be an app there that will just translate into whatever language. So we need to be just, if you're speaking fluently in Yoruba or in Swahili and the intelligence is there, then you just have something else translating it. So we need to just be very careful on why we're putting importance on some things. You know, it's important.
Great. Okay, so thank you, Gbeminiyi.
Thank
This
you,
has
thank you
been
so
really
much.
good. And guys, if you want to connect to her, don't forget her handle is at Afrikids Club. Her website www.afrikidsclub, and I'm sure she said she would love to partner with some
Yes,
women.
definitely,
So please reach
definitely.
out to her. And I can see that Tineke put barbecue instead of having what's it called? Just have a son. So get goats or something. Oh gosh. So thank you. Love
Thank
you.
you so much, Antonka, for having me. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you for coming. Thank you for enlightening us and yeah, letting us helping us to see the light. God bless you. See, oh,
Thank you very much.
and folks, I need to say this. Hangout Coffee is going to take a break for 3 weeks. So we are not going to be back till the end of June. We're taking a 3 weeks break. But we'll be back after that with some exciting, some more stories, and some, I was going to say fantastic, an amazing guest. So thank you. See you
Thank
all.
you.
Bye.
Bye.